Param Vijayate Sri Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam. My name is Sitapati Das. I'm here with Dana Devi, and this is Bhagavad-gita 140, the Song of God. Chapter 1, Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna Vishad Yoga. Text 40. And if you find this useful or interesting, remember to share it with a friend and like, comment, subscribe. Share the right screen. Bhagavad-gita 140. There we go. Ta-da!
Is that the old version or the new version?
This is the based on the 1983 edition. So we're going to compare, starting from today, we're going to compare the 1972 Macmillan edition of the Bhagavad-gita with the newer, revised and enlarged complete edition from 1983, which is the one that's hosted on Vedabase.io. People have asked me what I think about the book changes. There are a couple of, in general, posthumous editing of the books. I wrote a paper about the push to put annotations in the books. I'm opposed to that. As far as the substance of the changes that have been made to the Bhagavad-gita, I've never done an exhaustive comparison, so I don't know. But I have always read the 1983 edition for the last 25 years. So, and I don't know how it differs from the 72. We're going to find out. Great opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I think it's best to stick to the first Bhagavad-gita that Srila Prabhupada was happy with. But let's see how we go.
Yeah, I mean, as a principle, sure, you couldn't go wrong with that.
No, definitely not.
You couldn't go wrong. And at the same time, I've been reading the 83 Gita for the last 25 years. So even the English translations of the verses, as I know them, I've memorized the 83 ones. But let's see what the changes and differences are. Adharmābhibhavāt Kṛṣṇa praduṣyanti kula-striyaḥ strīṣu duṣṭāsu vārṣṇeya jāyate varṇa-saṅkaraḥ adharma
Irreligion.
abhibhavāt
Having become predominant.
Kṛṣṇa.
Oh, Kṛṣṇa.
praduṣyanti.
Become polluted.
Kula-striyaḥ.
Family ladies.
Strīṣu.
By the womanhood.
duṣṭāsu.
Being so polluted.
Vṛṣṇeya.
Oh, descendant of Vṛṣṇi.
Jāyate.
Come into being.
varṇa-saṅkaraḥ.
Unwanted progeny.
Translation.
When irreligion is prominent in the family, oh, Kṛṣṇa, the woman of the family, become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, oh, descendant of Vṛṣṇi, comes unwanted progeny.
Yeah, so I compared it with the 72 version, which you can see at praduṣyanti.com. The only difference here is in the translation. The purport is exactly the same. The translation does differ. Okay, read this translation and see if you can see.
Yeah, I want to read the translation of
Go for this one,
the
yeah.
first Bhagavad-gita. Yeah, please make it bigger.
Sure thing. We have the technology. Can even do this. How's that?
That's better.
Okay.
Pardon me. Good population in human society.
No, here,
Oh, sorry.
translation, yeah.
Okay. When irreligion is prominent in a family, oh, Kṛṣṇa, the woman of the family become corrupted, and from the degradation of womanhood, or descendant of Vṛṣṇi, comes unwanted progeny.
Yeah, it says become corrupted rather than corrupted. So can you see the difference between the two?
Yeah, become corrupt. What's that? Polluted.
Yeah.
Become polluted and corrupted.
Notice one thing though. See, the word become polluted is praduṣyanti. See it there? In the word for word? Praduṣyanti.
Yeah.
Become polluted. Now if you have a look at the 72 edition, praduṣyanti is?
Become polluted.
Yeah. So the change that's been made in the 83 edition is that they've made the term in the translation match the term in the word for word.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that you can do that I like about Vedabase.io that's really nice, I can click on that word.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can find out everywhere that it occurs in the synonyms.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only place.
Right.
Maybe duṣṭāsu? Nope. So that's it. This is the only time this word occurs in any of the books, praduṣyanti. Okay, well the purport is exactly the same, so let's read it from here because this one is the larger text.
Mm-hmm.
Good population purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Actually, let me just check one other thing. Note they're called synonyms here as well. It's not word for word, it's synonyms in both places. Okay. The purport to 140. Good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. The varna-ashram religion's principles were so designed that the good population would prevail in society for the general spiritual progress of state and community. Such population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by the elder members of the family. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. According to Cāṇakya Paṇḍita, women are generally not very intelligent and therefore not trustworthy. So the different family traditions of religious activities should always engage them, and thus their chastity and devotion will give birth to a good population eligible for participating in the varṇāśrama system. On the failure of such varṇāśrama-dharma, naturally the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population. Irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted children flood the human race at the risk of war and pestilence. Adharmābhibhavāt Kṛṣṇa praduṣyanti kula-striyaḥ strīṣu duṣṭāsu vārṣṇeya jāyate varṇa-saṅkaraḥ. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Kṛṣṇa, the women of the family become corrupt, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vṛṣṇi, comes unwanted progeny. Om jnanatimidandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai sri gurave namaha. Duṣṭāsu here, being so polluted. Yep, okay, it says polluted. So, first of all, in terms of the difference between the two, in the synonyms in the 72 edition, become polluted and being so polluted are both there in the word for word. It says the women of the family become corrupt. It's the only time it appears as well. So, is it that big of a change? It aligns it with the word for word. Is there a subtle difference in it? Polluted versus corrupt. Yeah, they are different. I would have stuck with the original translation. It may be the case that, and I'll go and research this. There is a website that has some of the book changes justified.
Mm-hmm.
It may be that in the original manuscript it said polluted and they've adjusted it to be like the original manuscript. I'll look into it a little bit more. This verse here, again, this is like when we're considering this verse in contemporary context rather than in the conversation where Arjuna is on the battlefield. We'll go back to that. But this purport particularly, I've heard that devotees they'll distribute the Bhagavad-gita to someone and tell them, oh, just skip over the first chapter because it's got a whole lot of like difficult names and it's just kind of the background and everything. The real kind of, thing starts in the second chapter. And part of what's driving that is that they are concerned that modern readers in the West will read this purport and then freak out because of a feminism, basically. Oh, how could you say such a thing, Yeah. So let's consider this within the context of the conversation that Arjuna is having, right? So, kula-striyaḥ praduṣyanti. Arjuna is talking about the destruction of the family and what happens as a result of that. Kula-striyaḥ praduṣyanti. Kula-dharma sanatana, with the destruction of the family, the eternal family tradition is destroyed. The family becomes involved in irreligion, transforms into irreligion. And then, when irreligion becomes prominent in the family, the women of the family become corrupt. And from the degradation of womanhood, a descendant of Vṛṣṇi comes unwanted progeny or unwanted children. These accidental kind of children that are going to come. And accidental children or children, this is like from, we can actually have a look at let's have a look at this here. varṇa-saṅkaraḥ. Unwanted population in the Bhagavatam. Population on the level of dogs and monkeys.
That's why,
varṇa-saṅkaraḥ. Like dogs and monkeys. Back. Unwanted population. So Prabhupada says here, an interesting point, good population in human society is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. Of course, the propaganda from the asuras is that overpopulation is the problem. Too many people consuming too many things, outputting too much greenhouse gases is going to destroy the world. But the problem, according to Bhagavad-gita and to the Bhaktivedanta purports, is not the number of people, it's the quality of the people, and the quality is defined by their activities and their consciousness. So good population is the basic principle. And here Arjuna is concerned that, with the destruction of religion in the family, the women will be misled, and they're going to, the good population depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. Be very easy here to go into this whole part about as children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly prone to degradation. Someone might, I don't know. I guess people might want to, I don't know, what do you think? Because I read it and I'm just like, it never even occurred to me that this would be controversial. I could understand why people would say skip the first chapter because Dhritarashtra, Dronacharya, and Drishtadyumna, and Dronacharya, Duryodhana, Drishtadyumna, and Dhritarashtra all sound like the same person, just weird D names. For that reason, I thought people said to skip it. It never occurred to me that they would skip it for this purport. What do you think?
I guess they don't know how to explain this. Young chaps going for book distribution, a young woman going for book distribution. They don't have the experience, they don't have the assessment of the society. Therefore, they see themselves like, whoa, this is a bit too much for me to explain, so I don't want to explain. But I can see that, these days what happened is they get into a relationship, out of that a child comes, or two or three, and then the chap just get into the world of drinking, smoking, and the lady may perhaps the same. They separate themselves, and then they enter into a new relationship, and again the woman has a child, the guy has a child with a different partners. Those children from the first partners, they are basically neglected. They don't feel loved. They don't feel wanted. Therefore, the emotional turmoil they go through, the traumas they go through, basically they carry on with that trauma and they get in themselves into the world of drinking, smoking, and being in an irresponsible world because they're trying to fulfill that gap of what they haven't been given by their parents. And then what happened, the next generation start, again, they get into illicit relationships. They have a child here and there, and then they go back to the same cycle, you see. And generation by generation by generation, we have children with our parents, alcohol, drugs, and so many irresponsible behaviors. And the population keep growing because we don't have a specific parents taking responsibility for their situation or for their children. Yeah, I can explain in that way. You see, from that angle.
Mm-hmm.
And because the woman, the parents are in there to say, who is this guy? Put them, the guy, and make them like accountable for what's going on. Make them responsible for the relationship and also for the children. Who is going to defend her?
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna be left alone. And obviously, because the parents are not there, and they won't be there because their parents were in the same situation. What power that person is going to have to say to the next generation from their daughters, like, I want you to treat my daughter well. The guy was just like, really, what example can you give me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same for the girl, And I can see from that angle, and, women are corrupted or polluted. It's quite easy, because women are more led by the heart, and few nice words they hear, and then some tricks that the guys do, they just like they feel so enamored because of that. And remember, they're coming from a traumatic relationship, parent-child relationship. So they have that emptiness with themselves. They have those traumas they're carrying. They are in the search of being loved, wanted. Therefore, they're gonna get into that relationship because they need to fulfill that thing that they could not get from their parents. And then bam, they get into that, Mm-hmm. And the cycle goes the same for the ladies and the children and generation and generation. So I can see that from here.
Yeah, the thing about this for me is, in having conversations, I actually do remember a few conversations with young ladies, a decade or two ago. One in particular, and it just struck me as like being very unrealistic. I'm like, they're like, no, it should be like this. I'm like, well, maybe, but it's just not. The reality of this is, if you fall pregnant, you're going to have a child. It's just not the same situation that is there for a man. And can I put my finger right on it? It's like it's kind of like we want women today are like, we want to be exactly like men. We want to be irresponsible. See, in here, like Prabhupada says two things that you just shouldn't miss here. The first one is that everyone's going to be on this. As children are very prone to be misled, women are similarly very prone to degradation. And you nailed it on the head. You said, women are led by their heart. You do a few of those pickup kind of courses and stuff and learn a few strategies and lines you can say to them, and they get enamored. And, Sita stepped outside that circle because Ravana, tugged on her heartstrings. It's how women are.
Manipulated her.
Yeah, and people like to I think they focus on this and, women and children require protection. Okay, let's just put this aside for a second and look at two other things here that bracket this, right? Good population, that when it prevails in society,
would prevail.
Yeah, so good population in human society, the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. It depends on that. Without the chastity and faithfulness of women, we cannot have peace, prosperity, or spiritual progress in life. We can't. Without that. Now, at the end here, it says, irresponsible men also provoke adultery in society. So what we have is a situation where irresponsible men can provoke adultery in society. And they do that. And then women are like, I also want to be irresponsible, or they call it like being free to act like these men are acting. But it's first of all, both of those destroy our ability to have a good population in society. But it disproportionately impacts the women, like individually, because a woman is the one who's left with a child, or she's left pregnant, when that happens. And then of course contraception is like an attempt to try to address that. It's like swallow the spider to catch the fly. Got one problem, let's add another problem on top of it.
And that is the thing, like the story about females and males is like, it's my body, I do what I want. Okay. And where do they end up with that attitude? It's my body, I do what I want. They sleep over here from this guy and that guy. They don't get pregnant for sure because they use the contraception. And they go through many turmoils of emotional turmoils with this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. And what are they left with is with an emotional instability. Oh, I hate guys because this, because that. Yeah, because you have not put boundaries there, where you have not honored yourself as a woman, and you just let every person come into your life, overstep your boundaries. They never even honor you. They just took over your body, they enjoy themselves and walk away, and you are left like, oh my gosh, I cannot have a partner. Who's gonna love me now? I wanna have a nice, stable relationship. But we cannot have a stable relationship when we ending up in that situation, when we are allowing people to overstep our boundaries, when we are not honoring ourselves for who we are and our body. And what can you expect? You cannot expect the opposite, guys just bowing down to you and honoring you as a woman. You cannot. And it's the same with the guys. The guys is just, I cannot find any woman that is like amazing and faithful and this. Yeah, you cannot, because every woman you are taking advantage of, you are thinking, maybe she is doing the same with other guy. Maybe other guy is doing. So you don't have in your peace of mind the tranquility that a woman is you can find an honorable woman that you want to have. So you really want to have an honorable woman, a very chaste woman, that means you have to behave in such a way as well. As a males, they think, you know what? I'm a male, I can do whatever I want. No, you cannot do whatever you want, because you're losing your peace of mind. You're losing the honor to yourself. You're losing your boundaries, your self-respect as a man. And what are you left with? It is this emptiness. You cannot find a woman, you don't trust a woman, and then what? You just have this idealistic perspective or desire of a woman, when in actual world you're behaving in such a corrupted way. How can you expect something marvelous when you behave in such a degrading way? How? It doesn't make sense to me. If you really want to find a real good woman that is going to be in every situation with you, it is going to raise your children in such a way that is proper and honorable, you must behave in such a way, because you need to honor that woman. And as corresponding affection and love, she is going to do the same. It goes both ways. There is no one way and have another result that could completely different. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Whenever I hear people, they're looking for a partner, and they're like, how do I find someone? I've got to find this person. It's kind of like, that person is looking for a partner. Like the person you're looking for whatever the list of qualifications and characteristics are, and then another one that's on there is looking for a life partner to start a family with as well. So that means that person is out there looking for a person who's on a list of things that they have. So if you want to find that person, it's real easy. They're looking for you if you are the person that's on their list. So in order to find that person, become the person on their list. You want to get this guy, become the woman that this guy is looking for. You want to get this woman, become the guy become the man that this woman is looking for.
And Srila Prabhupada himself said, purity is the force. So if a male or a female behave in such a way, in a pure state of their mind, respecting themselves, respecting their body, then they will be way more attractive. Like we were discussing before about chastity and how shyness is one of the qualities, attractive qualities of a female. It is true. How do you feel when a woman just flashes herself out to you? It's like, whoa. Do you do the same for everybody else? Then I'm not as special. Then you're not as special. This is what comes in the mind. And it's the same with the guys. A guy just like comes and then behaves in such a way that, wow, it leaves you with a query. Is this guy trying to attract me because of that? Is this guy doing the same with other females? So it corrupts your mind. Therefore, every single person, gender, female and male, should behave in such a way that is respectful to themselves. And I think chastity is a power for a female, as much for males too. It has such a power of attraction. You won't see it written on the face or whatever, but you will see the vibration of the energy of the person, like, wow, what is this? What is this special thing about this gentleman or this lady? And it's just the energy that person transfers to the world.
Yeah, it makes total sense to me. I think there's one other point in here that could be like a trigger point for people, and I think it's this statement here. According to Cāṇakya Paṇḍita, women are generally not very intelligent and therefore not trustworthy.
I understand this part as females are way more intelligent, way more emotional. So, not sure. Well, we can make a simple comparison, right? When you are very upset, or when you are very sad or frustrated, your mind becomes very covered up. You are swimming, you are drowning in that emotion. Or when you're angry, you just so immersed in that emotion. And because you cannot step back and see, okay, this is the situation, this is the reality, this is the story, and then what do I do with this? So you don't have a way of like thinking rationally, using your intelligence of discerning.
Yeah, I think I can see that, because I notice with you, like you're very perceptive, and you have a very penetrating intelligence, and then sometimes you're completely crazy. And it's
Crazy in love, yeah.
And it's shocking for me because I'm like, what? It's almost like I'm dealing with two different people. But it's exactly what you're saying, is that your emotions are so powerful that they override your intelligence. They're like Arjuna on the battlefield, it's expected that his intelligence should override his emotions, right? He's about to go into a complete emotional meltdown. But there's going to be a conversation that's going to take place here with Kṛṣṇa, where Kṛṣṇa just like tells him, like, you're being a little
monkey.
Yeah. Get up, give it up. Stop being a crybaby. That conversation would probably not work if I tried to have that conversation with you when you're upset.
No, that's why I said, when I'm in such a situation, I just need my space because I'm trying to work through the emotion, step back, analyze, look at it. My emotions, I will be digesting it, and then to the point where, like, okay, I know what it went wrong, I know what I wanted, and then I know how to resolve the situation. Okay, it's like sometimes when you're so angry, you don't have the emotional part, like when the sensitive part. Therefore, like, wow, this guy is crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like
it is like in that moment we cannot separate the situation. We need to go through the situation, but it will take us some time in order for us to keep developing, transforming us. As long now we are aware, and then we have our own space, and then we notice this is what's happening, to the point we do have a really good communication afterwards.
Yeah.
When we are settled, we just talk in such a way, very rational human beings.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we come to such amazing agreement, and then everything is like heaven.
Yeah. Well, it's addressing the emotional state. You know, and then it's like if you're not in that emotional state, we have these conversations that, like, I mean, you definitely have a very different types of intelligence than I do. Like, I mean, in your Clifton Strengths profile, you got, like, a ranger is very high, like your spatial arrangement of things, like colors, like physical layouts, like for the farm and for the house, those kind of things, like getting cheap deals on things. Like, what, there's, like, lots of things like that. And then I also, I think I tend to agree with what you're saying here about this, in that there's, like, an emotional side to you as a woman.
Yeah.
That overrides intelligence at times, and it's like, yeah.
Imagine.
It displaces it.
Imagine if a woman has, like, this rational, critical state of being with a man
all the time.
We will be fighting hands to hands. I tell you, we will be. Imagine a woman that way. You try and taking advantage of a woman, and me being as a man, rational and critical, and trying to do the same, trying to take advantage of you. What kind of relationship would be? So when the woman has been given these beautiful qualities of being emotional, in order for you to feel that love, because through the emotion, which obviously there is the good emotions and the not that good emotions, through that good emotions that woman possess, you have the experience of love. You have the experience of being admired, loved, cared for, what else? Nurtured. Because ladies have those emotions. Without it, you would be just having, like, man-to-man relationship. Well, these days it just basically seems to be usual. But such a weird combination. But even so, males have the feminine and masculine side, and so females, except that we use more the feminine side than the masculine side. We don't balance it that. Yeah.
Like I said, I was kind of, like, perplexed to hear that devotees were telling people to skip this chapter because they thought there was something wrong or controversial about this purport. To me, it just made perfect sense. And I was like, I totally get it. Here's the peace formula right here.
And that is the thing, because there is not only for females, though, but males as well, you can be seen that way. According to the emotions, they change their word. Like, trustworthy, not trustworthy. Oh, I'm feeling this way, I'm very happy, and I love you. And then she's feeling sad or angry, and then I hate you. The state of the emotion determines how the person changed their mind.
That's so true, because here's Arjuna on the battlefield, and he's a Kshatriya. It's his duty to fight. Who he says is that he's a Kshatriya. and it's his duty to fight, but he's about to leave. Imagine if he did do that. Everyone who had joined him in the battle, they're like, this is it, guys. It's like, it's either we win or we die, because there's no going back from this. We're taking up arms against the house of Kuru on behalf of Yudhisthira and his brothers. And they've all joined the battle. They're on the battlefield. And then Arjuna turns around and is like, oh, I'm not going to fight. Like, imagine that, how betrayed everyone there would be.
Yeah, it seems like the feminine part of Arjuna is playing up here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The consideration, the compassion, the nurturing side, what's going to happen to our woman, what's going to happen to our children, to our elderly. Irreligion will happen this way, and our woman will be unprotected, our children will be unprotected, and, you know, generations of unwanted population. They are really good. They are really good points of view, we can say.
Mm-hmm.
They are valid. However, in this situation, when we need to put things, this is right and this is not correct, then his duty was to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot hide in the feminine part of the considerations, because if we continue with that, what's going to be? It's going to be the same thing anyways. Even worse. He's going to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
All the consideration for children will be degraded anyways. So what is the point to be considerate with these people that are not, they don't even try to consider it, you know, in the population, the protection of women, the protection of children. They just want the riches. They want the kingdom. They don't care anything about Arjuna or your family. They don't even want to give you a tiny, tiny slice of land. What makes you think that this guy is going to change his mind and say, oh, actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I want things to be right. No, because the whole start of the situation was bad, you know. It's me, I, and myself. And I don't care about how you think or what you feel. It's all about me, what I want and how I want it. You see? So we need to study the character of the person. We need to study the sequence of the situation. We need to study the circumstances, right? In order for us to take a call and say, you know what? I have to do my duty. And you're not allowed to change your mind like any emotional...
Just because you feel like it.
You feel like it. Because if you just want to do things like you feel, oh, I feel like, okay, today I will do this one. Oh, no, actually I changed my mind because... just a little fear went into my heart and I don't feel like doing it. Or you say you're going to do it and you're going to prove to be a man of your integrity, You say something, you do it. As otherwise you're just a little puppet. You know, run by the emotions. You know, the emotion changes, oh no, this one. The emotion changes, oh no, I'm going to change my emotion. What kind of game are we playing? Or we are a man, or we're not. It's only two choices. You know, there is no third, there is no gray area here. It is, you act as a man, you perform your duties correctly and nicely, or you don't. And the results, the consequences of it, there's plenty more.
Yeah. I mean, this is like in the so-called red pill community, they say that, you know, women are never accountable. It's virtually impossible to hold a woman to account for anything. They're not accountable for anything.
Nope.
You know, exactly for this reason. And that's just simply the design. And so in the varnashram system, it takes that into account. Oh, that's their nature, and so you put a container around them to keep them safe from themselves, just like children, you know, and then allow that kind of those qualities to be expressed in a way that it's not detrimental to the women themselves and it's not detrimental to society. So that good population can prevail in societies, because it depends on the chastity and the faithfulness of its womanhood.
Also, you know, some cultures still maintain the woman chaste than other cultures. I remember, my grandmother used to say, you never mix with guys.
Mm.
Because you don't know what the intentions of these people. But in the Western world, is like, yeah, you walk with them, you go anywhere they want with, it's okay for you to mix with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the results are completely different.
Mm. When I joined the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement, ISKCON, International Society for Kṛṣṇa Consciousness, back in the late 90s, it was there was not free mixing between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in some environments here there still is not, here in New Zealand. But in other places, in other communities, yeah, they mix freely. Men and women who are unmarried, not married, hug, not family members, It's like...
even married men, they're just mixing a lot with unmarried women. Even with married women.
I know, I mean to say that they're not married to each other, is what I'm saying. I'm saying that, like, men and women who are not married to each other hugging, and that's kind of normal in these Western societies. But at the same time, it was, when we went to South America, it was kind of normal there. Devotees. I saw devotees in Lima in Peru were, hug, and kiss each other on the cheeks and stuff.
That's the culture.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that was shocking for me. Imagine that. I'm coming from New Zealand, and then, and then we're like pretty strict about that thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I go to South America and they're like all hugging and kissing and stuff. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Culture shock.
I did actually have a culture shock here when I came to New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
You know how South Americans are, like we meet people and say, hey,
Yeah.
you're part of our family, welcome, hugs, kisses, double kiss.
Yeah.
And then when I came here and I meet other people, like, hey, nice to meet you, Mama. I'm like, whoa.
Mhm.
Like, some people here.
Mhm.
And then I noticed that, okay, this culture is just like too far away, too distant, yet they want to be too mingled in a different way. It's like, okay, yeah.
That's interesting because you're saying that they don't mingle in the same way that they do here in South America.
So they are the opulence of the Americans. They are very friendly. That's one of the opulence.
Mm-hmm.
And then yes, if they mingle in a very intimate way because they want to mingle in an intimate way. But if you don't, you just hey, you have your say hello because it's part of the culture. We grow up with this.
I see.
Yeah, you say to people, you welcome people by shaking hands. The man can hug the other man. The ladies give kisses to the gentleman, a friend. So there's the way of like connecting with other people. But if it's beyond that, they mingle in the more intimate way for sure,
Okay, but people can mingle in that way without mingling?
What do you mean? Mingling in what way?
Well, they can greet each other by hugging and like kissing each other on the cheek and everything without, like it says here that on the failure of such varṇa-saṅkaraḥ, naturally the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged in at the risk of unwanted population.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm.
So, I don't know. Are you saying that
If you mingle, that means you're not giving kisses in the cheek. You're giving kisses somewhere else.
Okay.
It is more different.
I see. So, okay.
Yeah.
That's a little bit... Well, I mean, if you come from a culture like New Zealand to there, that kind of level of contact between men and women, it's shocking because that kind of contact... And I mean, things might have changed now, like it's like
Sure.
23 years later in New Zealand. I don't know what people are doing, the kids are doing these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
But back then it was like that level of contact, and especially for me coming from, being with the devotees where it's like quite a strict separation between male and female sexes. And to go there and to have people interacting like that. So, yeah, it was difficult to understand the context, you know, of like that much physical contact between the sexes in that way. That's like not, it's kind of outside of a, I don't know, sexual context.
Yeah, you will feel it if they really want to mingle in a intimate way.
Okay.
You will see their facial change, you know, the looks of the lady looking at you and on smiling, or the guy is just like looking at you.
Okay.
Like, you know, having more eye contact and making you like feel uncomfortable, or just like you are, you know, ¿cómo se dice esto?
¿Cómo? ¿En español? ¿Deseado?
Yeah, deseado la palabra.
Okay, desire.
The style, how to communicate that, it's so visual.
Okay.
It's quite easy to pick up.
Yeah, because it's almost like a contradiction. Because you're from South America, you're more kind of like traditional and conservative in terms of like your the way you relate to gender roles, male and female. You know, like what your average New Zealand, American, you know, North American, English, European female would consider to be normal and might have a reaction to this purport. You're just like, yeah, it makes complete sense, and then you're able to explain it, not even just intellectually, but from your own realization of it. And at the same time, you know, you come from this place where men and women will hug each other and kiss each other on the cheek when they meet. So that was like a shocking contradiction for me to encounter that. It's still now difficult for me to get my head around how those two things work, right?
There is difference though, like in Lima, where it's more Americanized, which is more like the influence of the Westerners. They're a bit more, let's say, una palabra polite, loose?
Sueltos?
Yeah, but I don't
free?
Okay, just let's be polite.
Relaxed,
more free. But if you go in different areas that are less contact with the
tourists, because
tourist
Lima is
people,
a massive tourist hub.
With tourist people or European people or American people, it's completely different. Ladies don't even come to you to give you a hello kiss.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't. And that's where I come from, you know, you don't. That's why my grandmother used to say, do not go to guys. Do not be near any guys. Especially elder people, older than you. You don't go. You stay with females, you stay with, you know, a woman, or you stay with your brother.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then you don't do that. But the more, when you move to cities where it's more Western people, the culture changes. Women are more like free, and obviously, you know, the culture itself is like to be free and very opulent. People are more generous with their words. So it changes to city depending how much influence they have with Western countries.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is different. So chastity in different areas, it's different. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad that you explained that purport, because it'd be more controversial if I gave that particular class.
You know, whether you are female or whether you are male, karmically you have your bulk of level of intelligence. And as a spirit soul, you have those qualities. And with that also you have the baggage, which is part of your karma too. So when we start discerning two of these things, okay, I have my baggage and I have my qualities. And when you start recognizing them, you will be associating more with your qualities. And this one will not offend you at all. Because I see this is like when women more socialize or make themselves known, identify with this type of emotions and their baggage, there's a completely different story. But if a woman identifies for the soul who she is, for the qualities that she brings into this lifetime due to her past karma, and due to the gift of Kṛṣṇa himself, then you will have the best version of yourself. And not only for females, also for males, you know. We all come with this beautiful level of purity and covered up with so much yuck. Or yunk. Yunk. Yourself, yunk?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. But if we can transform and recreate ourselves, see who we really are into this person, who we really are, and we try to separate ourselves from this part that is actually the thing that is keeping us into this lifetime over and over and over into the cycle. We're committing more karma, we accumulating more bad karma as well as the good karma. Then if we can separate the two and you act mostly with one, recognizing the other one, then you will be successful, because you will be able to recreate, you will be able to transform yourself. You know, it is a choice of a person, but how do we get to make a person see from this angle is a different story. And obviously the person has to be, like they say, be teachable. Then they will be able to discover themselves more than they ever imagine. You know, that's why Kṛṣṇa in the books says this is a self-discovery path. Kṛṣṇa consciousness is a self-discovery journey.
That's actually one of the compilation books, Journey of Self-Discovery.
Exactly.
JSD.
So there is choices in this life. Or you continue with your baggage and you feed more your baggage, and in the next life you create more bigger baggage. It's up to you. Or you act from the point of view of you are this spirit soul with beautiful qualities, and you carry this baggage, and then you get rid of it, you transform, you recreate, then you will be in a better place in next lifetime. No, you don't even have to wait for next lifetime. You can actually do it now, because Srila Prabhupada and the Bhagavad-gita is teaching you how to do all of those, step by step. He's beautifully putting all the steps there for you to understand, you know. It's teaching you, it's telling you how to do all of that. And at the end, I think it's the chapter 18, Kṛṣṇa himself says, okay, I explained to you everything. It is your choice now. So you have a choice. We have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, he says, now do what you want.
Exactly, do what you want.
Yeah.
You know, but you've been explained about all of this. Do what you want. Don't complain next life. Don't cry next lifetime. It's up to you. What do you make what do you make of?
Yes, so Arjuna will continue to develop this this line of argument that he's creating here. If the family tradition is destroyed, the family becomes involved. Why should we fight who can see the sin in destroying a family? They can't see it, but we can see what happens if you destroy a family. If you destroy a family, the family traditions are destroyed, and then the whole family becomes involved in irreligion, and when irreligion becomes prominent, the women of the family become corrupt, and from the degradation of womanhood, a descendant of Vṛṣṇi, comes unwanted progeny, this low-quality population that causes the absence of peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life in the human society.
You know, when this is a low-quality person, don't get offended. I was explaining before that when we continue dwelling in that bad qualities and the baggage that we bring into this world because we created ourselves, then you cannot bring the opposite if you keep acting on that. Therefore, there comes the degradation of the population.
Yeah, and even though it's not possible, you know, you can't go back and change history. You're not going to be able to go back and change the last generation or our childhood or anything like that. But in the age of Kali Yuga, there is, which is an ocean of faults, there is one good quality in this age, and that is that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, a person can achieve self-realization. And that, the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra will adjust all of the faults in society. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.